Every now and then, some of the best NBA stories come from unexpected places, or more specifically, unexpected players. Every year, there are a few players that look like they might enjoy long and successful careers, but for many others, it's not even close. When it comes to names like LeBron James or Kevin Durant, most people expect them to have a lasting impact in the league and to enjoy many winning seasons as they turn into pro stars. But when it comes to players like Kyle Lowry, it's hard to say that such expectations even existed. So now, after the 15th season of a role player turned star reached its end, it seems like the perfect moment to talk about how a regular player became the leader of a championship team and what things may lie ahead for him after going home earlier than expected. Welcome to Courtside. Today we'll take a look at the things that have made Lowry an elite player and might continue helping him in the future. As is the case with most players, Kyle's love for the game started at a young age. However, as he grew older and despite him having a solid impact, it never looked like he could become an eventual star in the league. But he was good enough to make a few heads turn around, and after 2 seasons at Villanova, in which he had modest numbers, he decided that it was time to try to make it into the league and declared for the NBA draft. As would have been expected, he was one of the last selections in the first round as the Memphis Grizzlies drafted him with the 24th pick. But his time with the Grizzlies never looked too promising as he missed most of his first season because of injuries, and then the team decided that they would focus on Mike Conley as their starting point guard. As such, after 2 seasons and a half in which they started to think of him as a bad influence, the team decided to send Lowry to the Houston Rockets. Now, in a different situation, the point guard grew to respect his new coach, and though he didn't see an increase in his playing time during his first season and a half there, he provided some pretty solid play right off the bench. But in his 6th season in the league, his chance would finally come as he was moved into the starting lineup and made the most out of it as he started to look like the player he would eventually become. During his first season as a starter, he increased his production in all categories while also providing a few excellent performances from time to time that included his first career triple-double. But things reached their limit once again after Houston hired a new coach, with which Lowry would often clash while also missing a good part of the season because of an injury. The team decided that they should move on from him to relieve their financial situation. Therefore, by the 2012 offseason, Lowry was traded yet again, this time to the Toronto Raptors, a move that didn't receive too much attention. But things didn't go perfectly at first with his new team. The point guard again struggled with a few injuries and finished the season with lower numbers than those he had been putting up in Houston. There weren't too many expectations from him until that point, but 2 things that would change his career were about to happen. During the 2013 offseason, the Raptors hired Masai Ujiri as their new general manager, and one of the first things he did was challenging the point guard by asking him whether he wanted to be a $2 million player for the rest of his career or if he wanted to be something better than that. With the advice that Lowry received from Ujiri and others, he looked forward to making things better in the following season, and that's when his career would take a turn for good, but he had some help first. After a poor start to their new season, the Raptors traded their leading scorer, Rudy Gay, to the Sacramento Kings, and at that moment, the point guard and teammate DeMar DeRozan decided they'd become the new leaders of the team. At that moment, neither player looked like the kind of leader that could make their team change course and go into the right direction, but they were faced with one of 2 choices: step up and try to help your team win, or keep losing as you wait to be traded away again. They opted for the first, and that might have been the point in which a new Kyle Lowry was born. As the season progressed, the point guard played the best basketball of his career, and he and DeRozan led the Raptors to a 48-34 finish that helped them get the 3rd seat in the East. Things were looking as good as they ever had for him in the team, but the playoffs proved to be a different challenge. Despite having the better record, the inexperienced Raptors lost in their first-round series in a Game 7, in which a potential game-winning shot by Lowry was blocked in the closing seconds. And though he had a solid playoff performance and continued to play well in the following regular season, he would face his biggest challenge as a player when his team returned to the postseasons. The Raptors finished with a franchise record 49 wins, were the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, and were matched against the Washington Wizards in a first-round series they were expected to win. But they were swept out of the playoffs, and Lowry raised many concerns as his play was regarded as one of the main reasons why his team lost in that way. There were many questions regarding his status as one of the team's leaders and even his overall health and physical condition. Once again, adversity was knocking on the door, and once again, he decided to step up and answer it. When the next season started, the point guard was looking better than ever, and that showed in his game as he helped his team finish with a 56-26 record. He averaged career bests in points and steals per game, but now his team had to live up to its record during the postseason. And when the playoffs got going, all eyes were on Toronto as they hadn't been able to make it out of the first round since 2001. And while Lowry struggled during a tough 7-game series, the Raptors were able to survive and move on to the second round. There, the point guard finally lived up to his all-star status as he helped his team reach the conference finals for the first time. But they faced what would become their greatest obstacle in the following years: LeBron James. Lowry and the Raptors lost the series in 6, which led to the team making some adjustments during the offseason. They played better during the next regular season, but were again eliminated by the LeBron-led Cavaliers, this time in a second-round sweep, and that would also be the case in the following season. After 3 straight years of losing against James, the questions were again surrounding Lowry and DeRozan. Were they good enough to bring a championship to Toronto? It didn't seem like that was the case. But when their biggest rival announced that he would change conferences, the Raptors finally had some hope, but still had to answer whether they could build a title as they were constructed at the time. And the answer was no. In the 2018 offseason, Toronto shocked the world by trading DeRozan to the San Antonio Spurs in exchange for Kawhi Leonard. The move was a risky one, and Lowry felt disappointed as DeRozan was his best friend and the thought that they could win together. But now, he still had a chance to win it all, and despite not feeling too comfortable at first, he decided to take it. Throughout the season, Lowry had his lower scoring average since his first year with the team, but also had his best assist number. But most importantly, the team kept on winning and was looking like it would have a chance to make something special happen. With Leonard as the team's best player and the emergence of Pascal Siakam, Lowry decided to embrace his place as the team's third best player and do whatever he could to help them win. This approach worked to perfection for them as they finished with the second seed in the East, and by the time the playoffs started, were looking as confident as ever. We all know what happened next. The win in Game 7 against the Sixers, the comeback win against the Bucks, the win against a depleted Warriors team in the finals to claim the franchise's first ever championship, and Leonard's departure in free agency. And then there were questions again. Many were wondering whether the roster would be good enough to remain competitive without Kawhi, and Lowry was a free agent that had to be paid. Fortunately for them, Ujiri decided to trust his team and his coaching staff as well as to give their starting point guard a new contract, and the result was even better than anyone could have expected. The Raptors were winning at a better pace than what they did with Leonard. Siakam continued to get better, Fred VanVleet became an excellent player, many young players took a step forward, and Lowry turned back the clock and somehow finished the season with averages of 19.4 points, 7.5 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. But even better than the numbers he posted was how he was playing. He looked confident night in and night out, and so did the Raptors, who were only getting better as the games went by. Then, by the time the playoffs got going once again and the Raptors needed someone to take a step forward to extend their season another game, Kyle had one of the best games of his life in a 2-overtime thriller, Game 6 against the Celtics. Now the season is over for Toronto, and it will be a while before we have a better idea of what the team will look like for the next season. Various of their main contributors, including VanVleet and Marc Gasol, will become free agents this offseason, and a few more will do it in the following year. There will be questions once again. Will they be good enough? Should they trade Lowry? Who should they bring back? Those will have to be answered by the front office, but we believe that the move they shouldn't even think about is sending Lowry away. This year, he proved that he is the heart and soul of this team, as well as one of its best players when the stakes are the highest. He's even been called the greatest Raptor of all time, and he has a good argument to make for that. The point guard might not have been as talented as Vince Carter or Leonard, or even as good a scorer as DeRozan, but he has been the player that has reinvented himself year after year to help the team get better. Every time the Raptors have had their backs up against the wall, Kyle Lowry has been there to do whatever was needed from him to put his team in a position to win, and that resulted in a championship run and an excellent season after that. And so far, there's no reason to believe that he won't keep giving it his all if the team gives him the chance once again. Overall, Kyle Lowry has never been the most explosive athlete nor the most talented player on the floor, but he's been the kind of player that has been brave enough to look at himself in the mirror when things haven't worked and to look for a way to get better. And while it's been a slow process, no one doubts that he's a star player capable of willing his team to a win when things are not looking good and of taking a step back when others are doing better. In short, Lowry has become one of the best leaders in the NBA, and we can hope he'll continue to be with the Raptors for at least a few more years. But now, what is your opinion about Kyle's growth over the years? Is there any other player he reminds you of? Let us know in the comments. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more NBA content. We are Courtside.